often does the Imperious leader himself journey all the way from Cylon?
Attention. Attention.
Coordinates Alpha 37 confirmed.
Blue Squadron launched.
In 1978, Battlestar Galactica launched into television history and changed science fiction forever. The cast became legends overnight, but what happened to them after the cameras stopped rolling will absolutely stun you. Some built empires worth tens of millions. Some vanished completely from Hollywood. Some fought battles far more terrifying than anything on screen. And heartbreakingly, not all of them made it. Their stories will leave you speechless. Before we launch into the stars with this incredible cast, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell right now. You will not want to miss a single moment of what's coming. Dirk Benedict, Lieutenant Starbuck. Let's start with the man who made every kid in 1978 want to be a space pilot. Dirk Benedict was 33 years old when he played Lieutenant Starbuck, the gambling, cigar-smoking fighter pilot who made recklessness look like a superpower. Starbuck wasn't just a character, he was an attitude. But here is what most people don't know. Before Battlestar Galactica even aired, Dirk Benedict had already fought something far more dangerous than any Cylon fleet. He was diagnosed with prostate cancer in the mid-1970s. Doctors had a clear plan: surgery, radiation, the standard path. Dirk said no. He rebuilt his entire life around a strict macrobiotic diet, reportedly encouraged by actress Gloria Swanson. His doctors thought he was making a catastrophic mistake, but within years, the cancer was gone. He documented the entire experience in his book Confessions of a Kamikaze Cowboy, and spent decades advocating for natural healing. Call it controversial, call it remarkable. Either way, the man is still here. After Galactica, he went straight into playing Face in the A-Team, giving him 2 back-to-back iconic television roles that very few actors in history have achieved. His personal life had its surprises too. In 1998, he discovered he had a son, John Talbert, born from an earlier relationship and placed for adoption decades before. They reconnected. He also has 2 sons from his marriage to actress Toni Hudson. Today, at 80 years old, Dirk Benedict's estimated net worth is around $2 million. The man beat cancer with willpower and whole grains, and then became a television icon twice. There are worse ways to live a life. Number 2, Lorne Greene, Commander Adama. If Dirk Benedict was the spirit of Battlestar Galactica, Lorne Greene was its soul. He was 63 years old when he took command as Commander Adama, dignified, unbreakable, carrying the weight of a civilization on his shoulders. But understand exactly who Lorne Greene was before he ever stepped onto that set. He had already spent over a decade as Ben Cartwright on Bonanza, one of the most beloved characters in Western television history. At the peak of that show, Greene reportedly earned around $50,000 per episode, making him one of the highest paid television actors on the planet. Before that, during World War II, he broadcast CBC radio news to an entire nation under siege. Canadians called him the voice of Canada. Not many actors can say their voice once held a country together. And then, just to prove talent refuses to stay in one lane, Lorne Greene had a #1 hit song in 1964, a spoken word country record called Ringo, #1 on the actual pop charts, alongside the Beatles. His daughter from his second marriage, Jillian, later married director Sam Raimi, the man who gave the world Spider-Man. On September 11, 1987, Lorne Greene passed away at age 72 following surgical complications. His estate was estimated between $10 and $20 million. The voice of Canada, Ben Cartwright, Commander Adama, #1 recording artist. Lorne Greene wasn't one legendary man, he was several. Number 3, Richard Hatch, Captain Apollo. Now I need you to stop and really hear this one, because Richard Hatch's story is one of the most extraordinary and heartbreaking in the entire history of science fiction television. Richard was 30 years old when he played Captain Apollo, the moral compass of the fleet. He earned a Golden Globe nomination for the performance, a stunning achievement for a genre show. Then Battlestar Galactica ended, and rather than let the world he loved disappear, Richard did something no actor had really done before. He refused to give up. For years, through the 1980s and 1990s, he campaigned relentlessly for the show's revival. He wrote novels, he attended every convention, he kept the flame burning almost entirely by himself. Then, in the late 1990s, he went further. He took out a second mortgage on his own home to personally fund a fan-produced continuation trailer called The Second Coming. a cinematic pitch designed to show Universal Studios exactly what a Battlestar revival could look like. He risked his own home for a show. The cruel twist? When Battlestar was revived in 2003, it was a complete reimagining, not the continuation Richard had sacrificed so much to create. But rather than walk away bitter, he joined the new series as recurring character Tom Zarek. He chose love for the universe over pride in his vision. At the time of his death on February 7, 2017, Richard Hatch's net worth was just $200,000. For a Golden Globe-nominated lead actor, that number tells the story of a man who gave everything back to something he believed in. He was 71. He died of pancreatic cancer, surrounded by the fan community he never once abandoned. Rest in peace, Captain Apollo. Friends, if this story is moving you, hit that like button right now and help it reach every fan who deserves to hear it. Jane Seymour, Serena. Now let's talk about the woman who appeared in Battlestar Galactica for only a handful of episodes and somehow built one of the most staggering personal empires of anyone in this entire cast. Jane Seymour was 27 years old when she played Serena, Apollo's love interest whose death became one of the fleet's most emotional moments. Her character died, her actual career was just beginning. Jane Seymour's estimated net worth today is between $60 and $70 million. By a distance, she is the wealthiest member of the entire Battlestar cast. After Galactica, she became the iconic Dr. Quinn in Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. 6 seasons, millions of devoted viewers. But she never stopped building. She launched the Open Heart Jewelry collection through Kay Jewelers, one of the best-selling celebrity jewelry lines in American retail history. She wrote books. She invested in real estate. She painted professionally. Her personal life was turbulent. 4 marriages, all ending in divorce. Her 3rd husband's financial disaster left her completely bankrupt. Most people would have collapsed. Jane Seymour rebuilt from zero, again. Today, at 74 years old, she is dating, working, and creating. Her Battlestar role is the smallest footnote in a genuinely extraordinary life. Maren Jensen, Lieutenant Athena. Here is one of the most surprising second acts in this entire story. Maren Jensen was 22 years old when she played Lieutenant Athena, breathtakingly talented and seemingly destined for superstardom. Then she left acting entirely, and instead of fading away, she built a beauty empire. In 1993, Maren co-founded a cosmetics brand called Stila with celebrity makeup artist Janine Lobel. Stila became one of the defining prestige makeup brands of the 1990s and 2000s, sold in Sephora stores nationwide and beloved by professional artists globally. The woman who flew Vipers on Battlestar Galactica helped reshape the American beauty industry. Her personal life had its own remarkable chapter. During her acting years, Maren was in a long-term relationship with Don Henley of the Eagles. He dedicated his 1982 debut solo album, I Can't Stand Still, to her. They separated in 1986. She later married Johann Kugelberg and now lives quietly in the New York metro area. Today, at 68 years old, Maren Jensen proves that the most interesting thing about a person is rarely what made them famous. Lorette Spang, Cassiopeia. Not every story in this cast is complicated, and sometimes the simplest story is the most beautiful one. Lorette Spang was 27 years old when she played Cassiopeia, bringing warmth and humanity to a show full of warriors. What most people don't know is how close she came to never being on the show at all. When Battlestar Galactica came calling, her 7-year Universal Studios contract was ending and she was nearly bankrupt. The show didn't just give her a role, it rescued her. On February 16, 1980, Lorette married Bold and the Beautiful actor John McCook. They are still married today, over 44 years together, in Hollywood. That is not a statistic, that is a miracle. Their youngest daughter, Molly McCook, born in 1990, followed her parents into acting and found a new generation of fans on Fox's Last Man Standing. Lorette retired from acting around 2007 and has lived quietly and happily in Los Angeles ever since. Estimated net worth between $2 and $5 million. But the real wealth is the 44-year marriage while Hollywood burned through everyone around her. John Colicos, Count Baltar. Every great hero needs a great villain. Count Baltar, the man who betrayed the entire human race to the Cylons, was one of the most deliciously evil characters in 1970s television. John Colicos was 49 years old when he played him, and he brought theatrical grandeur that made the character genuinely terrifying. What most fans don't realize is that Colicos had already carved a unique place in science fiction history years before Galactica. In 1967, he played Commander Kor in the original Star Trek, then reprised that same character in 3 episodes of Deep Space Nine between 1994 and 1998. A single character portrayed across 31 years of television. No actor in Star Trek history, outside Leonard Nimoy's Spock, maintained one character for longer. On March 6, 2000, John Colicos died of a series of heart attacks in Toronto at age 71. His son Nicholas also became an actor, carrying the family legacy forward. 2 legendary sci-fi franchises, 1 remarkable man. The best villains are played with absolute conviction and not a single moment of apology. Anne Lockhart, Lieutenant Sheba. Anne Lockhart's story contains one of the most stunning what-might-have-been moments in all of Hollywood history. She was 25 years old when she played Lieutenant Sheba, one of the fleet's most skilled and fearless pilots. In 1978, director John Carpenter wanted Anne for the lead role in his new low-budget horror film, the role of Laurie Strode. The film was Halloween. Anne was unavailable because of Battlestar Galactica. The role went to Jamie Lee Curtis, who became a global icon from that single performance. But Anne Lockhart's actual life has been so full that the question of what might have been almost feels irrelevant. In 1986, she married Adam Carlisle Taylor, son of Gunsmoke actor Buck Taylor. They had 2 children, daughter Carlisle and son Zane. Then on June 4th, 1994, Adam died in a motorcycle accident in Montana. He was 27 years old. Anne was widowed with 2 small children and has never remarried. She channeled that grief into something extraordinary, co-founding the Kingsman Shakespeare Festival in 1997, which produces free outdoor performances and acting camps for children. She is also a championship-level horsewoman and met Pope John Paul II in 1985. Today, at 71, her estimated net worth is around $2 million. But the real measure of this woman is in the free performances she gives her community and the children she raised alone. Terry Carter, Colonel Ty. Friends, I have news that many fans may not yet know. Terry Carter, who played the steadfast Colonel Ty, passed away on April 23, 2024. He was 95 years old. And he lived one of the most quietly extraordinary lives of anyone in this entire story. Terry was 52 when he played Colonel Ty, loyal, uncompromising, the man who kept the Galactica running when everything around him was falling apart. But the television role was almost the least interesting part of his biography. In 1965, Terry Carter became the first black television news anchor in all of New England at Boston's WBZ-TV. This was 1965. In that city, in that era, he didn't just do his job, he opened a door that had been sealed shut. He went on to produce a PBS documentary on Duke Ellington, founded his own company, Metaphor Productions, and created over 100 educational and cultural documentaries for PBS, the National Endowment for the Arts, and the Library of Congress. His Galactica casting has a fascinating footnote. He was originally cast as Lieutenant Boomer, not Ty. A roller skating accident with his daughter broke his ankle just before filming, forcing a recasting into the higher-ranking role. By accident, he became the Colonel. Terry Carter was married 3 times and widowed twice. At his death, his estimated net worth was around $500,000. For a man of his historical significance, that number will surprise you. It shouldn't. The people who change things rarely do it for the money. Rest in peace, Colonel Ty. Noah Hathaway, Boxy. We close with the youngest member of the Battlestar Galactica family, and one of the most poignant stories in this entire cast. Noah Hathaway was just 6 years old when he played Boxy, the orphan boy adopted by Apollo, whose robot Daggett Muffet became one of the show's most beloved characters. For millions of viewers, Boxy was the emotional heart of the entire series. After Galactica, Noah played Atreyu in The Never-Ending Story in 1984, one of the most iconic child performances of the entire decade. 2 legendary roles before his teenage years. Then Hollywood moved on, and Noah Hathaway rebuilt himself entirely outside the system, becoming a martial arts instructor with black belts in Tang Soo Do and Shotokan Karate, a Muay Thai boxer, a tattoo artist, and a motorcycle. From Dirk Benedict defeating cancer on a macrobiotic diet, to Richard Hatch mortgaging his home for the show he loved, to Jane Seymour building a $70 million empire from bankruptcy, to Terry Carter pioneering a generation of journalists before anyone knew his name. The cast of Battlestar Galactica 1978 did not simply make a television show. They lived. Some are gone, some are quiet, some are still fighting. But every single one of them left something behind that was bigger than the role that made them famous. And that is worth remembering. If this story meant something to you, share it with someone who grew up watching the stars with you. Until next time, take very good care of yourselves.